Okay, welcome back. I haven't done anything with baseball since I think July, when I mentioned in my video back then how I was just extremely busy and it was hard for me to keep up with the scores and all that other jazz. But now that the season has come to a conclusion, I did my own little simulation with the playoffs and the World Series, and I'll just go through each of the series. So starting in the National League, which is the right side, the blue side, the Los Angeles Dodgers finished with the best record in that side of the league. They had the number one overall record, I guess. Philadelphia won the NL East. The Dodgers won the NL West. The Philadelphia Phillies will get the number two spot. Milwaukee would win the NL Central. They would get the third spot. The San Diego Padres would get like the wild card, I guess if you want to say it. They would finish with the number four. Atlanta would get the number fifth spot, and the Mets would finish out the top six in the National League conference, if you want to call it that. So the Dodgers and the Philadelphia Phillies. Oh my gosh, I'm getting baseball and my football mixed up. They would have basically a first round bye in the National Wild Card round. The Padres would play against the Atlanta Braves, and the Milwaukee Brewers played against the New York Mets. So the 4-5-3-6 seeding, if that makes any sense. The wild card round are best of three, so basically the first team to two wins advances to the National League Divisional Series. So the Padres would win the two games against the Atlanta Braves. Milwaukee and the Mets would go the full three-game series. The Mets would come out with a 2-1 series win. So advancing to the National League Division Series, those were best of fives. So it's essentially the first to three wins would advance to the National League Championship Series. So the Padres and the Dodgers would play a division matchup. Despite the fact that the Padres had a 2-1 series lead, the Dodgers would come back and win games 4 and 5 respectively, advancing to the Championship Series. And speaking of division matchups, the Mets and the Phillies would duke it out. The Mets, being the last playoff team in the National League, would upset the Philadelphia Phillies 3-1, setting up a championship game between the Dodgers and the New York Mets. That series would go 6 games. I believe the Dodgers did have a 3-1 series lead. The Mets would win game 5, but unfortunately they fell to the Dodgers in 6 games. Therefore, LA advanced to the World Series for the first time in 5 years. 4 years. I want to correct myself because I'm pretty sure they went to the World Series in 2020, but that's when the whole COVID case was preventing fans from seeing a lot of the games. Alrighty, off to the AL side, which is the American League. The New York Yankees would win the AL East. They would get the home field advantage basically throughout the playoffs, finishing with the number one seed. The Cleveland Guardians would win the National League Central Division. They would get the number 2 seed. So basically, both those teams had a first round bye. The Houston Astros would win the AL West, getting the number 3 seed. Baltimore would get the number 4 seed. The Kansas City Royals would get the number 5 seed. And finishing out the top 6 in the American League, we had the Detroit Tigers getting the number 6 seed. So the number 4 and 5 seed were the Orioles and the Kansas City Royals. The Royals would beat Baltimore 2-0, and the Detroit Tigers would defeat the Houston Astros 2-0. So both teams that had home field advantage in the first round, unfortunately, weren't able to get a win. So the Tigers and the Royals would advance to the American League National Division Series. The New York Yankees would play the Royals. They would defeat the Royals in 4 games. As I previously mentioned, when it comes to the division series, it was a best of 5. Therefore, the first team to 3 wins advances. The Detroit Tigers would take on the Cleveland Guardians, a AL Central Division matchup. It would go the full 5 games, and the Guardians would win this 3-2, advancing to the American League Championship Series. The Yankees and Guardians would play. Wouldn't last long, however, as the Yankees would beat the Cleveland Guardians 4-1, advancing to the World Series. setting up a matchup with the Los Angeles Dodgers. And the Dodgers had a 3-0 series lead. They were looking to get the sweep. The Yankees would win game 4 at home, and unfortunately, they would lose game 5 uh, at home at Yankee Stadium. Now, I'm very much aware that this game is definitely a few days old, and the Dodgers obviously won the championship a few days ago. But the thing that still blows my mind is how the Yankees had a 5-0 lead in the top of the fifth inning, and then they surrendered 5 straight runs, and they eventually go on to lose Game 5, 7-6. So the Dodgers would win the World Series, their second time in 4 years, and their 8th World Series in team history. All right, that's going to take care of this 2024 recap of the Major League Baseball postseason. As always, if you're new to this channel and you like this type of content, feel free to hit the sub button. I'd be very grateful and very appreciative. Until next time, and as always, take care.